Really disappointing loss on multiple fronts, really. But the main one for us, I think, was the position in the conference and where we were sitting and overall and things like that, more than really anything else. But disappointing, and with just play or two here, trying to get over the hump. But there was actually some things we did really good that we thought the competitive spirit was fantastic. Thought our kids played really hard. Started fast, not just on offense this week. We actually started fast in all three phases, had some stops on defense, created a big turnover on special teams, scored the first time we had the ball offensively. We had less turnovers, less penalties, less negative yardage. We outrushed them, which we certainly wanted to do. Third down was better from a defensive standpoint. The other thing, too, that I think, I can't remember if it was here or where we had actually talked about it, but I was concerned about their tempo and them getting up in the 80s and 90s in terms of plays run. And, we ran 76, they ran 74. If you take down the 4 kneel downs at the end and the one before the half, they actually ran 69 plays. So those things I thought would have been, the things I just talked about would have been beneficial to us. But, at the end of the day, there's a couple things, we probably, when you look at it, the sky kickoff I thought really hurt us. Stuff tough with the wind blowing the way it was blowing. Probably going for it on 4th and 1 wasn't the smartest thing I've ever done as a coach. But if you look at those were both in the second quarter where it kind of swung. And, I was kind of thinking personally, we needed to keep the ball a little bit. And anyway, it didn't work out. But, that was 14 points for sure. But we actually got 7 points ourselves off of a turnover on special teams, and we also got 7 off of Strauder's interception. So, but again, I think it just boils down to we were in position and trying to get them in position and make a couple more plays, and certainly would have been beneficial. Really impressed with what Georgia State is doing this year. When you look at where they were last year and what they've come to this year with predominantly the same players. When you look at it. They're 6-2 on the season. They're 3-1 right now in the Sun Belt. They beat Arkansas State in a game pretty similar to ours, other than the fact they kept the lead, but they were actually up 21-0 on Arkansas State, and Arkansas State came back twice and cut it to 3. And they kind of pulled away at the end of the game. They beat Troy at home. They beat Coastal Carolina also on the road. So their Arkansas State-Troy games were both at home, and their Coastal Carolina game was on the road. The only conference loss they have was at Texas State in overtime. So they've done really well. They beat Tennessee the first game of the year this year, which was a really big win for them. But looking at a team that went, I think, 2-10 last year, if I'm not mistaken, to what they've done this year is really impressive. And like I said, predominantly you go through the roster, it's mostly the same guys. They lost Penny Hart, who was a really good player last year, but they have a redshirt freshman, McCoy, number 15, that they list as 6'4", 205, and he's a good player, 210, I think. He's a really good player, and he's kind of the new one that's come in. But Dan Ellington's having a fantastic year, their quarterback, and they're doing some really good things with him, I think, too, and giving him an opportunity to succeed at some different stuff they're doing with him, both in the throwing game and in the running game, because he is a legit threat when he runs the football, as we found out last year. But both their running backs run really hard. Barnett's actually leading the Sun Belt now in rushing after having the big game against Troy. But he's actually number 1 now in the league, and Josh is number 2. But it starts their offense, with Ellington, a lot of RPO stuff, a lot of zone read stuff, a lot of just straight quarterback run stuff they're doing with him, and he's really doing good and really making those guys go. Defensively, it's a lot of what we saw last year. They will pressure some at times, but the predominant theme for them is to keep it in front of them and rally, and that's what they're trying to do. But again, I'm really impressed with them. Same punter and kickers last year. He's going to run to the right and everywhere else and punt it all over the place. And I think for a while last year, he's actually, if I'm not mistaken, was leading the nation for a while last year in punting. But be a tough game. We got opportunity to play again at home, which we're excited about. And we talked to our players about is, we got to try to do a lot of the things that we did last week. We got to get ready to play and start fast and play hard and, limit turnovers and limit things, which we actually did. We just we've got to make a few more plays on both sides of the ball.
Hey, Coach, I hate to point the finger at one incident, but do you feel the personal foul penalty on your offensive tackle was a momentum killer in the second quarter?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly didn't help for sure, but there were several plays like that. We actually extended 2 drives or 3 drives on penalties on them, which didn't wait. Yeah, but that was certainly a play. I agree that certainly didn't help at the moment, but still we had an opportunity to run a couple more plays, and we just didn't get the right things executed. Then we missed a field goal. So but yeah, I agree. I mean, that was a big play in the game among others.
Well, you mentioned it yourself, and I think it's obvious when you watch this team play that they play hard and they continue to play hard despite losing some games. But is that the toughest thing to kind of figure out about this? Because I mean you're getting everything you want from them, but it's just it's just not getting the end result.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean that is tough, I think. But you go back and look, and we're just trying to talk them through this whole deal. But we've been just trying to get this thing over the hump, not just this year, but really every year. Because we're really close at Florida State. Pretty darn close at Memphis. Kind of right there, a play or two there. Pretty close in this game too, obviously, a play or two there, and we just, and it's frustrating for me, I think, as a coach. I'm not frustrated at them, at our kids. I'm just frustrated really in a sense that, you want to put your kids in a position to be able to make that play or two that you have to make, and we just, not quite there, whether it's that tackle, whether it's that, the batted down ball, or whether it's the run or the catch or something. We just, gosh dang, we're so close in those situations, and, I have to say as coaches, we put it on ourselves to get them in that position to where they have the confidence to be able to make that play, and it's just close, like I said. But it's we're losing to pretty good teams too, and this whole stretch and stuff. But and I see it, I think, in talking to the players, and we see it as a staff. When you look at the deal, and we could play really, really good too this week, and there's a 6-2 team coming up. But I think if we play good and we continue to do the things we're doing, we're going to have a chance to win these games. We're going to have a chance to lose them too. But we got to get ourselves back in position week after week after week, and not allow them to get frustrated in a sense that we're not doing those types of things that we need to do to have a chance to win, I think. And so that was kind of the theme yesterday. Just trying to talk to them and point out all the things that we did. Like I said, we were really well. Less turnovers, less penalties, started fast. We didn't have a lot of negative yards plays, and things like that. We got them in some negative situations, but just hopefully keep trying to get in that position and make a few more plays when we can.
Defensively, what have been the biggest breakdowns that you had?
The other day when you look at it, there was, you kind of look at it because Murray's a good back. He broke some tackles, which I'm not surprised. He's a good football player. But at times where I thought we did really well against him, the thing that kind of got us, and it's not that I was surprised or whatever. They made some phenomenal catches. I mean, those guys, the catch radius on those guys, when you look at it, I mean, they made some catches and they made some plays when you look at it at critical times. There's not one time really that I can think of, or you can go back to where we totally blew the coverage, or we totally, we've got guys there. That catch kid made down on the sideline toward the end, that's a phenomenal catch. We got Roy Williams jumps up with him, and Roy's about 6'2". They jump up with him. It's a great throw and a great catch, and you go back to the next play. So, can we do things better? Yes, absolutely. But I was impressed with some of the plays they made. Really, other than the first field goal drive they had, which was their third drive, when they ran the wheel and go, we were out of position, and they hit the kid down their sideline, and now he was open. But really, other than that, when you look at it, it's not like we're just cutting guys loose. We have guys there. They made some plays, so give them credit for that.
What in particular could you even tell your team, especially when you have a pretty good squad in Georgia State who can pass the football pretty well? What can you tell your team? What can you, Coach Collins, preach to your guys on defense about getting things corrected before Georgia State comes to town?
Well, it's a new week, and now Georgia State is going to present problems, but they're going to present different problems than Arkansas State did. They'll present different problems than App did. Every team is different, so we got to get our guys, focused on Georgia State and what they do and how they're hurting people, I guess. And so I think that's the big thing. I mean, it's not, you got to turn the page on last week, but if you look at what Georgia State's doing, they present some problems, especially Ellington. And look, Barnett is really good, the wideout, but I mean, he makes it go. He really does, and he seems to be playing at a really, really high level this year. I thought he was good last year. Now, I never watched him one time after we played him, to be honest with you, so I don't know. Maybe he took off last year because he had a good game against us. But when you look at the results they had last year, but then I've had the opportunity with the open week before Arkansas State. I've actually seen every game they've played. I watched every single game they've played offensively, and he's made it go. He really looked like he's playing with more confidence. He understands what they're doing. But, the thing about him, you stop him, you think you have him, and then he'll take off running out of the pocket, and throw the ball downfield, and, scramble drills or run for first downs or whatever he does. But he seems to extend a lot of drives, and that's concerning.
Kind of go back to the point you said before about talking to the guys, making sure you're pointing little things out so they don't get frustrated. I mean, do you get a sense of, that they're not getting frustrated?
No, I don't think so. I mean, but what I'm saying is, I guess the point I was trying to make, it's a really tough loss. In a sense, it's a really disappointing loss, but we wanted to make sure yesterday, as we pointed out, all the things that we thought we did good. Whether it was a competitive spirit, whether it was starting out fast, less turnovers, less penalties, less negative yards. Look, all these things are good, and we got to continue to do these things. Plus, we thought that coming off the open week and in the week of preparation, we thought were really good. So hey, we got to continue to do all those things. And I think it's when you throw all of it together, the most important thing for me, that I preached to the team last week and in our Friday night meeting, the most important thing is is you guys and where we sit. I mean, nothing I can do about 6 or 7, however many of the losses to Arkansas State. I wasn't even here. Neither were they. So let's don't focus on that. Homecoming is homecoming. But the main thing is we have some goals that we set and we're trying to get to them. And it would have been a really good game to win in terms of trying to accomplish that. But when you throw all those things in there, like I said, the thing we wanted to point out to them is, look, we shut the door and we correct mistakes too. And we'll get after them when we think we need to in terms of that. However, from a head coaching perspective, I just wanted to make sure that they knew all the things that we did really good. And all you can try to do is do those things and continue to do those things and get yourself back in a position to hopefully maybe this time, we'll make another play or two as opposed to not making another play or two, if that makes sense.
I guess when you look at it too, I mean, you're talking about a team that's had to get over a 1-point loss at Florida State, had to get over a blowout at Iowa State, had to get over this deal with App, and came out and played pretty well early on last Saturday. So they seem to have some resiliency about them in that sense. Yeah,
I think so. I think we'll come out, we'll work hard, and like I said, the main focus for us is to get the same energy, to get the same because we're going to have that against this team because they're playing really good, and quality wins over Tennessee, quality win over Army too. At home, they beat Army and stuff. When you look at it, they've done really good things this year, and a lot of credit goes to their kids and goes to Coach Elliott because again, you don't know. I mean, you kind of start watching things and you look at it, and then the more time I've spent watching them, they're doing it with the same players. Pretty much. I mean, you look at it, and it's not like they have had an influx of guys come in or whatever. They're doing it with a lot of the same guys that went 2-10 last year, and that's impressive.
If I recall last year, the loss at Georgia State was probably one of the more frustrating for coaches and players.
Yeah.
Have you guys forgotten about that loss last year? Is it still kind of bringing your minds a little bit?
Oh, I mean, you never forget. I mean, now that you brought it up, I remember the game, but you move forward, and which we did. We had a rough game there. I guess it was maybe the next week. Had a rough game at Ole Miss, and kind of. I'm trying to remember last year. Had a big win at Coastal, and then kind of picked it up. So I think this team has the ability to do that as well. Appreciate it. Thank y'all.